The difference between chemtrails and contrails is massive, and they are two completely different things, opposite things. Contrails are safe, they're standard, they're normal, we see them all the time. They're short little jet trails and very high altitudes, and they leave this visible vapor because of the condensation that freezes. So this contrail disappears very fast and gets absorbed by the atmosphere. It dissolves itself. There's always a tiny little gap between the actual trail of the plane and the contrail itself, and it almost looks like the contrail follows the plane. And this trail is about half a kilometer to a kilometer long, but it disappears shortly after. That's a contrail. Chemtrail is entirely different, and it is seen at much, much lower altitudes. First of all, it's quite thick. It does not disappear. It only expands and becomes even bigger, thicker, wider, stronger. Stays for an entire day once it's fully expanded. But once it's expanded, it covers the entire sky completely. And chemtrails do not come out of engines. It has nothing to do with the engine. It comes out of the conduit pipes that are specifically made, that are connected to internally built filled with toxic chemicals of different colors and strengths and purposes. Primary toxic ingredients inside of chemtrails, all chemtrails, are aluminum, barium, and strontium in exceedingly high concentrations. And in addition, there are very viral toxic agents within them. And this has been proven and tested and analyzed and published. This isn't some rumor. E. coli and tuberculosis were also found in the fallings of these chemtrails. Chemtrails, the planes that spread the chemtrails, spray these toxic nanoparticulate heavy metals into the sky to create the artificial clouds for the purposes of weather modification, or in other words, geoengineering. When the chemicals are sprayed out of the planes, out of these tubes, once they expand, they actually block out the sun. That's the main purpose. So it creates blockages not only to the sun, but to our rainfall as well. And it works with conjunction with electromagnetic frequencies and radio frequencies. It actually changes the state of the atmosphere into something that's very conductive, which is a problem, and it creates this plasma state that is easily manipulated at any time, whenever they want. Chemtrail spraying has become very sophisticated, and they have absolutely perfected vorticity, perfected it. They almost always fly in 90-degree interceptions, crossing into one another, creating X's, creating crosses, creating the plus signs. And often we'll see 4 or 5 planes flying in one direction, creating parallel lines, but then they'll do degree turns and come back the other way on the side. So ultimately they're creating this grid, this mesh, the symbol of a mesh, the symbol of the hashtag. These planes mid-flight often change tanks, so we know it's not a contrail. And when they change tanks, we'll see the difference. Let's say a line that's sprayed that's pink, and then there'll be a little bit of no chemtrail, like an area, and then we'll see a blue line, or a green line, or a light gray. And these are all carried by regular-sized commercial airlines. I mean, geoengineering primary is done to modify the weather, which we all know. Even a child can go to Google and Google it. Everyone knows this. Geoengineering is very real. But also, this has been admitted by both NASA and United States government and other governments, such as Chinese government, who stopped the rain the night of the opening of their Olympic ceremonies. They admitted this. It's in the paper. They also use geoengineering to control commodities markets and to be also used as warfare by the military. So militarily speaking, this is a huge advantage. If you can have the technology to send a massive storm, flood, hurricane towards your enemy lines to win the war. And the United States have been doing this since the Vietnam War. In fact, in the Vietnam War, a project called Popeye, the United States created this major flood, which actually flushed out the Vietnamese army in the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So the United States can occupy it, and they did. They won that battle, Operation Popeye. But these chemicals that are sprayed are not only extremely toxic and poisonous for the people, us, breathing it in. It also has tremendous ecological implications. And chemtrails today are by far the top two greatest threats to our planet. Number one being the nuclear war, which I hope never happens. We have massive amount of ecosystems collapsing and simply dying all around the world. Our birds and our honeybees are falling from the sky just randomly, all across the world. These little guys, these little beings, they cannot handle the amount of poison. We have numerous aluminum-based illnesses occurring all around, on a very large scale, all around the world. Forests and Amazons are completely dying out. Our fish are dying. Plants and rivers and oceans and creeks and seas are being poisoned. Animals and people are constantly breathing this toxic junk in, daily. And it's altering the functionality of our organs and our nervous system as well as our DNA. It is toxifying our pineal gland. We have huge rises in the incidence of cancer, asthma, Alzheimer's, respiratory conditions, sore throats, flus, colds, those kind of symptoms, candida, even sleeping issues, sleeping patterns, even infertility. Heavy metals toxicity is directly involved in infertility. Respiratory illness is third biggest cause in the United States, cause of death. So the more people get sick, the more money the pharmaceutical companies are making. They need us to be sick. Depopulation aspect also plays a huge part. And this is not just some rumor, eventually. And anyone that says chemtrails are not real or fake, the chemtrails are just residue from some regular planes, are absolutely lying, or they're just genuinely unaware. And anyone who says global warming exists due to people driving big SUVs,